Of the program. Joining us now, John Arthur Eaves Jr. and John Arthur Eaves III from the Eaves Law Firm. Gentlemen, welcome to Middays. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
You bet. So you guys are involved in solar energy. Tell us about your connection to 1.5C LLC, and give us a little background, I guess, on why we should even be thinking about using solar power.
Well, Gerard, we been talking about climate change. My children have been expressly interested in it, so they for their generation, and so we've been looking for opportunities to get involved with it. And after the Inflation Reduction passed last year in August 16th, we started thinking there's got to be a way for us to become involved. So thanks to our Jim Walker think tank that operates there in Madison, we started talking with Collier Simpson, who started brainstorming about ways that we could help Mississippi take advantage of those opportunities. And then that led to other conversations with Don Moore, and I got my son Brady, who's not here, and my son John Arthur here, who wanted to see how we could be a part of making those opportunities real for Mississippi.
Yeah. So the Inflation Reduction Act, as we've talked about here on the program many times, included a provision that provides tax credits to those who would install solar panels to power their homes. I don't remember the exact amount. I want to say it's something like 30% of the total cost.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Gerard, you know that. And then there's also special advantages. So the advantages are for so many aspects, so many opportunities. It's just hard to fathom. But basically, I asked them, I said, what is the low-hanging fruit here where we could start to engage on these opportunities? And they said the best opportunities are with schools, public schools, and with municipalities who want to save money and reinvest it in other things by creating these solar panels and using those to create and offset the energy cost. The other things that are out there that I really would love to get into and see Mississippi manufacturers do is to start building some of these products that are now being delayed because of the shipping problems, that we're too dependent on the Chinese and Asia for these products. And I'd really like to see Mississippi businesses gear up for that because with the explosion that's going on around the country, there are going to be shortages, and that's what's going to hold it back from that. And I think it's a real opportunity for places like Taylor Machine Works in Louisville, Mississippi, or Howard Industries would be an obvious one. And there's just so many opportunities that could revitalize our economy.
So, school. You mentioned schools, John. One of you guys. Tax credits wouldn't apply to them. They're public sector entities. They don't pay income taxes. So, the benefit to them seems to me like would be if they could reduce their energy costs dramatically by installing solar panels rather than consuming power from the grid, which is, of course, fee-based, that could constitute a pretty significant savings to operate a school.
Sure. John Arthur can give us examples here of workups that we've had.
Sure.
But I will say that, when we look at schools taking advantage of this, there are really three opportunities to finance these projects. One is Blackstone is willing to underwrite it and then charge a lease or a charge per kilowatt hour for that to offset that cost, which is no cost to the public school, just because they want the tax advantages of it. The other opportunity, of course, is for the schools, if they have extra money, which is rare, to pay for themselves. That's the best possible scenario, which will give them, free energy after they paid off the initial cost. And then, of course, the third opportunity out there is benefactors for our public schools, So, for example, I mentioned Taylor Machine Works. If Taylor Machine Works in Louisville, Mississippi were to adopt Louisville Public Schools, they could take advantage of the great tax benefits of actually reducing it's almost like pure money in that it just deducts that money from their tax bill at the end of the day.
Okay, so let me make sure I get that. So these are third-party entities that aren't the end user of the solar panels,
right.
But because they're funding them, I
Correct.
guess, financing them, funding them for a public school like that.
That's exactly
The
right.
credits pass to them.
That's correct.
Is that right?
Third-party beneficiaries.
And you've got some case studies, some use examples for us.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Yeah, there are two really good case studies. One's a private school as well as our own buildings downtown. So it looks like in the private school workup that we did, the initial savings were immediate. So because the cost of power is cheaper when going through a benefactor option or financing it, it's at a discounted rate. So meet on the electricity bill. So immediately it's saving money. And then if it were an entity that were to file taxes, it would be filed the next year. On the direct pay option, if someone or a school were to basically buy it outright, then the next year the government just sends them money to compensate for that. And then there's usually on average it's about 50 to 60% of energy savings, and it can roughly, the payback period's 6 to 9 years, and an IRR is about 10%.
Internal rate of return.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So a school can qualify for some sort of special funding. There's some program. This is different than the Inflation Reduction Act tax credits, though, right? These aren't tax credits because they don't pay taxes. So there's some sort of grant program.
It's called direct pay. Now, it's a concept that's foreign to me. It's just the first time I've really learned about it.
Okay.
But they call it direct pay, and somehow there's a provision that makes this exchangeable, where private companies can get that money.
I got you. So that's why it's routed through the private companies to essentially receive the tax benefits, the credits from the government. It funds it for the schools on behalf of the schools.
Yeah, I feel compelled to say, I'm not a tax attorney here. So
well, I understand. Yeah. Well, I'm not either. I mean, I do know a fair amount about taxes, but okay, that's fair enough. But it's not surprising that all that stuff's kind of deep and complicated. But smart people figure that out, and they leverage those opportunities. That's what you're doing here.
That's what we're trying to help Mississippi do, and it's, I think, our way of sort of pushing this along. Unfortunately, Mississippi's like 50th in the nation on using this type of energy, and that really shouldn't be. We just have so many opportunities here, and I'm afraid we actually could lose some of our businesses because of the competition of not fostering this in Mississippi.
And you also work with municipalities as well.
That's right.
Wastewater treatment facilities,
Wastewater treatments
of which consume lots of power.
They are the second best beneficiary. The reason we entered the discussion here is just because there are already companies like our partner Verde Solutions here out of Chicago that are already doing this nationwide. Been doing it for 20 years. Okay. The Inflation Reduction Act just increases the benefits to such an extent, and this is an easy place. But like I said, the dream is to work with some of our industries here in Mississippi to bring them the opportunity to build these components that are needed.
So,
well.
John Arthur, are you calling on the schools to introduce them, educate them about this program?
Well, I would like them at least to be as informed as possible.
Yeah.
I think that knowledge is the key here. And
I dare say most of them don't know, honestly, until you perhaps enlighten them.
I don't know if I'd enlighten them, but I'd like to teach them something. Hopefully I can be of some benefit here so that schools can make the most rational decision financially and any other way they want to look at it. So, it's technically speaking, that saves local and state taxpayer money as well, because we're paying the power bills.
Absolutely.
It's our property taxes that pay the power bills for the schools, essentially.
Absolutely. Just going back to the example he made earlier about this school that we did the workup on, the total cost of, and this is, an average private school, which has less benefits than public schools because of the way the thing is structured. But, the actual cost was like $3 million, but after all the advantages, it was really about half. It was about $1.5 million. Of that was the actual cost of it that a benefactor would actually pay. But what they calculated is that we would have reduced in 1 year, that school would have saved $140,000 in power bills, and over 9 years they would have paid for the system, and the system is designed to last for 25 to 30 years.
I'm with you. Interesting. Well, how long have you been doing this before we go? When did you guys start this?
When did we incorporate?
So we incorporated about 9 months ago.
Okay. So is there a way that folks should get in touch with you or can get in touch with you if they're interested? Tell us.
Absolutely. The easiest way is to email me, John3 at 15celsius.us. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/15celsius.
15 Celsius. Okay. I didn't realize that's what the 1.5C LLC is, how you're styled. You're formed up. Yeah, appreciate that. Well, we appreciate you guys coming in and tell us about that. It's a fascinating program. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gerard.
We're coming right back in the Element Wealth Studios.